students. Today, we're going to have a fun little activity here, our lab activity from our book. We're going to be modifying it just a tad in order to answer the same question, however. And the question is, who is the most powerful person in your class? Who is the most powerful person in your class? Before we get to it, look around the room, both at home and here. And who do you think the most powerful person in your class is going to be? Take a moment to write your hypothesis. Pause me now. All right, I'm back. You probably have some preconceived notion as to who you think is the most powerful person in your class today. But let's talk about it from a scientific point of view, shall we? What is power? How are we going to calculate power? Pause. Discuss. Hopefully you said power is equal to work divided by time. So before we get any further, work divided by time, what do we need in order to measure time? Well, I'm going to be using a stopwatch here today, and I'll help you with that in just a little while. All right, but work. Well, now we have to answer the question, well, if we want to divide work by time, well, what is work equal to? So, what is work equal to? Hopefully you said work is equal to force times distance. And how do we measure force? Well, we measure force by using a scale, whether it's a spring scale like this or a bathroom scale. They measure weight. And remember, weight is a measure of force of attraction between an object and Earth's gravity. Distance. How will we measure distance? Well, we're going to use a ruler, a metric ruler, to measure the distance traveled. So we've got a few tools that we need to use today: a ruler, a scale, and a stopwatch. There's one more tool that you may need today to make some calculations, and that is the old trusty calculator. Of course, you can use the calculator between your two ears by using paper and pencil, or even mental math, because I'm going to try and make the numbers as easy as possible for you so that you can answer the question, who do you think is the most powerful person in the class? All right, you have written your hypothesis on your lab page, and we are going to add some information to that now. Again, your question is, how powerful are you? I mean, you want to find out who is the most powerful person in your class, but in order to do that, you have to figure out how powerful you are first. So we're going to work through the steps and figure this out. Now, your lab activity in your book deals with climbing stairs as fast as you can. We're not going to do that. We're going to do something that can be done in a socially distanced format as we are here today. So how are we going to do it? Well, the first piece of information we need is to determine what is your weight in the metric system. So to do that, we're going to estimate here. Normally, we would be having the nurse's scale in the laboratory, and we would determine everyone's weight directly with the scale in the metric system in newtons. But we're going to have to do a little estimating here today. I would imagine most of you have some idea of how much you weigh in pounds. We're not going to use pounds in the lab. We're going to be using the metric system, so we have to do a quick conversion first. If you don't know how much you weigh, if you have no idea whatsoever, look around the room and see if there's someone who looks to be about the same weight as you, and we'll see if we can ask them how much they weigh. Otherwise, if you don't want to find out how much you weigh, you can just use 100 pounds as a standard. Okay, so if you know about how much you weigh, here's how you make the calculation. You're going to take your weight in pounds and multiply it by 4.5, and that will equal how many newtons heavy you are. So, for example, if you are 100 pounds, then you're going to take 100 and multiply it by 4.5, and that will equal 450 newtons. So in your book, you're going to be writing your name, and under your name, you're going to write your weight in newtons. So you can pause me now and calculate your weight in newtons. All right, we're back. And now we need another piece of information. We're going to be determining the distance you travel. Remember, we have to figure out work first, and work is equal to force times distance. We now have your force. The force is your weight, and we have to travel a certain distance. Well, for this lab, we are going to be traveling the distance of your forearm, the distance from your elbow to your wrist. Now, most people, on average, it's about 20 centimeters, which is 0.2 meters. So if you're not sure, we can just use 0.2 meters as the distance you're going to be traveling each time you do a push-up, because we're going to be doing push-ups today in order to determine how powerful you are. And so you're going to try and do as many push-ups as you can in a certain amount of time, and I will let you know what that time is in a moment. But to determine your total distance that you are able to move the weight or the force of your body, you're simply going to multiply the distance of your forearm, which is the distance of a push-up, multiplied by how many times you do that. So the distance will be your forearm length times the number of reps. Now, I will come around, and if you wish to measure your forearm, that's great. Otherwise, most of our forearms are about 0.2 meters. So, for example, if you're able to do 10 push-ups, you will be pushing a force, your body up off the floor, a distance of 0.2 meters, 10 times. So 0.2 times 10 would be a total distance of 2 meters. Now, don't write the total distance down in your book yet, because you have to figure out how many reps you can do in a certain amount of time. But if you want to take a note of this, by all means. Otherwise, I'll help you when we get to that. Okay, so let's move on. And we're now going to calculate how powerful you are by first determining the work that you are able to perform by multiplying, you know, the equation for work. Work equals force times distance. So you're going to calculate your work by multiplying your weight, which is your force, times the overall distance. So I am now going to take the stopwatch, and I am going to time 100 seconds. This is going to make your math easier, believe me. So I am going to time 100 seconds in class for this lab, and I want you to count to yourselves how many push-ups you're able to do. How many reps are you able to do? And then you will take that number and multiply it by 0.2, or the length of your forearm, and in order to determine the total distance. All right, so how about, sorry about that. How about we do that now, and instead of pausing this video, I'd like everyone to get into position. Get into position now, socially distanced, of course. And we have already determined your weight in newtons. We've measured the distance of each repetition, so your forearm distance. Put our calculator to the side for a moment, and I am going to show you the stopwatch. Now, 100 seconds. How long is 100 seconds? Well, how many seconds are in 1 minute? Hopefully you said 60. So how many more seconds in addition to 60 do we have to count? 60 plus what equals 100? Hopefully you said 40. 60 plus 40 is 100 seconds. So I'm going to time 1 minute, 40 seconds. 1 minute, 40 seconds in order for us to count how many push-ups can you do in 100 seconds. Are we ready? Hopefully everybody is in position, all spread out. I am then going to push the start button, and we're going to watch. We're going to watch for 100 seconds. So here we go. Don't begin until I say so. Get ready. Here, wait, let me get there we go. Now we can see it. On your mark, get set, go. So we're simply timing 100 seconds, and during that time, do as many push-ups as you can in the time that we have. Do as many push-ups as you can. Don't kill yourself, though. If you need to stop, if you need to pause, that's fine. But keep on counting. Keep on counting. How many push-ups can you do? A half a minute is done already. Keep on going, as many as you can do. We have 1 minute left. Keep on counting and keep on pushing. Don't lose count, or you'll have to do it again. There's 1 minute. We have 40 seconds remaining. Keep on pushing. Keep on counting. Let's see how many you can squeak out. This is going to be a very interesting competition to see who is the most powerful person in the class. You've got 20 seconds remaining. Keep on counting. Keep on pushing the best you can. Ten seconds. Stop. Everybody stop. All right, that was 100 seconds. Don't forget how many you were able to do in 100 seconds. All right, let's scoot back over to our notes here. So, how many push-ups were you able to do in 100 seconds? And what you need to do is take that number and multiply it by 0.2, or the distance of your forearm. So if I were only able to do 10 reps in that 100 seconds, then the total distance traveled would be 0.2 times 100 reps equals 2 meters. So how many meters were you able to push your body in 100 seconds? I'll give you a moment to calculate that now. All right, now you have how much work you were able to accomplish. You should have that written down in your books now. How much work expressed in joules were you able to accomplish? And the time was 100 100 seconds for all of us. So now you know how much work you did. How do you calculate how powerful you were, however? Well, to determine your power, you calculate it by taking your work and dividing it by time. So this part should be pretty easy with no calculator necessary, because you're just going to take your work and move the decimal point twice to the left. And that will equal how many watts of power you generated by doing push-ups for 100 seconds. So take a moment and calculate that and write down your answer in your book for how powerful you were in terms of watts. Now think about that for a moment. Imagine if you were able to harness the power from your doing push-ups into electrical power. Think about how many 100-watt light bulbs you would have been able to light up. In fact, why don't you jot that down on the bottom of your page? How many 100-watt light bulbs would you have been able to light up by doing push-ups for 100 seconds? Now, once you've done that, I want you to spend a little bit of time discussing in the class who you thought was going to be the most powerful person in the class, and then who actually was the most powerful person in the class, and talk about why that might have been. Think about the variables, think about the factors, think about the values that you collected in order to determine how powerful you were. So take a little while to discuss this and be sure to write your conclusion. I hope you enjoyed finding out who the most powerful person in the room was today. Don't forget to study for tomorrow's quiz. And for now, I'll say bye-bye.